All right. Hi, everyone. So as you probably know, we did not hold section on Thursday due to the shelter-in-place order. So instead of holding section, I thought it would be useful if I just recorded some mini lectures and some problem walkthroughs for you. And I will hopefully upload these to YouTube soon if I can figure out how to use YouTube. But yeah, let's get started. Sorry, let me share my screen. All right, so today we will be going over regex and more scheme because you can never get enough of scheme. So first, I just wanted to check in with all of you. I know this is a stressful time. On top of it being the end of the semester, we had the shelter in place on Thursday, which was definitely a lot. So I think it's always useful to reach out to friends or loved ones if you need support or anything. Additionally, I linked a few campus resources in my email to all of you on Thursday. These are just helpful resources that Berkeley provides that I personally have found useful. I know many of my friends recommended those sources to me. If you ever want to reach out or talk to someone, those resources are always there for you. Additionally, I just wanted to check in and see how all of you are doing. I want to do my best to support you through the last week of the semester. And I definitely want to make sure that section is as helpful for you as possible. So if you ever need anything, you have questions, concerns, or even if you just want to talk, please reach out to me. I am always here for you guys, and I want to do my best to support you. So that being said, let's move on to regex. So regex is pretty useful for pattern matching strings. And what this means is we can look to see if a certain pattern exists in a string. So personally, one way I like to think about it is if I'm going through a really long PDF or a book or something, and I want to find an instance of a word, on my computer, I do Control F, and that just searches the entire PDF for all places in the PDF that that word will appear. And regex kind of does that with strings. So you can give regex, or you can give a regex pattern of what you want your pattern to look like, and you can search the entire string to see if that pattern exists in the string. And this is really, really useful. The regex is one of the skills that I have used past 61A. I've used it in 61B. I've used it in other projects. It's definitely useful. And you've actually seen something kind of similar to this before where you were searching through strings, and this was in cats, unless the cats project has changed since I was in 61A. When I was in 61A, we had to look through a string the user typed and a string that was given to us, and we had to see how accurately the user had matched that string with what they typed to get an accuracy score. And to do this, we iterated through the strings and compared characters. And this was kind of tedious. So regex is much more efficient. It's also a way to search strings essentially. But all this to say that you have seen string searching before. It's not new. And with regex, we can just describe the pattern we want to match. And we can see how to do this in the next few slides. So in regex, we have character classes. We describe what characters we want to match. If we enclose something in brackets, that means we're denoting a character class. We're matching characters in a set. Essentially anything within the brackets we want to search for. We also have a period. This matches any character other than new line. We have \D, which matches any digit character. \W matches any word character. And \S will match any white space character. Okay, so we also have quantifiers. This tells us how many instances of a pattern we want to match. So whenever we use a quantifier, we have a pattern, and then we follow it with a quantifier if we want to use that. So the asterisk matches 0 or more instances of the previous pattern. The plus sign will match 1 or more. The question mark matches 0 or 1 of the previous pattern. I like to think of the question mark as like saying that this pattern is optional. It can be there or it cannot. And lastly, we have curly brackets. So these are kind of used like min-max. So it'll match a quantity between min and max of the previous pattern. And these slides are just some examples. I won't go over all of them because there's a lot, but some good ones to know. Let's see. So our first example, the AO 0 through 9 that is enclosed in brackets. So we're saying that we're looking for A, O, or any digit. And if we ran this on hello world, today is, and then the date, this is clearly an old date, we would match all instances of O, A, and all digits, which we can see here. Additionally, we have a character that's kind of like the uppercase, or like the caret. This essentially, when we enclose this in brackets, it's saying we are matching anything except whatever pattern follows. So in this case, we have the caret and then lowercase characters. So we're matching anything except lowercase characters. And when we run this on our string, we see that it matches all uppercase characters, it matches white space, it matches punctuation, it matches digits, essentially anything except lowercase. There are a lot of examples, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So feel free to go through these slides in your own time if you would like. Let's see. Another thing I want to point out is we have \W, which matches lowercase, uppercase characters, digits, or an underscore. And this is essentially matching all word characters. If we run this on our string, we can see it matches hello world, basically anything except white space and punctuation. We also have \B. This is a word boundary. This matches the start or the end of a word. This can be really helpful if you're trying to match the beginning or the end of a word, essentially, if you want to make sure that your pattern appears towards the beginning or the end, or if it's the entire word. So we can see here that when we just do word boundary \B, it matches the beginning and end of every single word. Lastly, we have the period. This is anything except a new line. So if we ran it on our string, which has no new lines in it, it matches the entire string. Here's some practice with quantifiers. So as we saw earlier, the plus matches, we're applying all of these quantifiers, we're applying them all to the previous pattern. So the plus matches one or more lowercase characters, the asterisk will match 0 or more uppercase characters, 0 through 9 matches 0 or 1 digits. And I want to go over the curly brackets really quick. So here we have 1 through 3. So this will match 1, 2, or 3 A's. If we don't include the last argument, if we just include 1, if we just really include our min, it'll match 1 or more. If we only include our last character or our max, we're matching 0, 1, 2, or 3. So just know that if we only include the max value, regex will automatically start at 0. And lastly, if we only include 1, 0, this is matching exactly 2 A's. So here we explicitly say we only want 2, and we will match exactly 2. All right. And another thing, remember special characters. So basically the following are special characters in regex. They have functionality. So for instance, we saw that the brackets denote a character class, the plus, asterisk, and question mark, denote quantifiers. So if we want to match a pattern that includes those, we have to escape it, which kind of is just telling regex, we don't want this to behave as it would in regex. We just want to look for this character specifically. So for instance, match parentheses 1 plus 3 parentheses, we would have to escape all special characters. And the special characters in this string are the parentheses and the plus. So our regex string would just be our raw string. We escape the parentheses. We have 1, we escape the plus sign. We have 3, and then we escape the parentheses again. Okay. One other thing I want to touch on, sorry, I know this is a lot, but regex is kind of its own language. Why do we use raw strings? So whenever we begin a regex pattern in Python, you might have seen that we start with R and then followed by a string. And we do this to let Python know that we're working with a raw string. So what are raw strings? They essentially preserve everything in them and tell Python not to evaluate it as Python normally would. And here I did a little example in my Python interpreter in my terminal. Fun fact, you can customize the colors of your terminal. I made mine pink just to explain why this slide is pink. So I made 2 strings. I did pattern 1 and pattern 2, and the contents of both strings are the same. The only difference is that pattern 2 is a raw string because it starts with R. And the contents of both strings are hello, \n, world. And if I print pattern 1, Python will evaluate it and it'll see the \n, which in Python means new line, and it'll also print the new line. So we have hello and then on a new line world. Now, if I print pattern 2, which is my raw string, Python won't look at the string or it won't evaluate the string as it normally would, and it'll print hello \n world. And ultimately, that's why we want to use raw strings. We just want to make sure Python isn't evaluating the string as it normally would, that it's a raw string. Python won't like mess up our regex by accidentally creating a new line. All right, okay, sorry. Lastly, let's just go over the re module. So regex has several useful things. We can do re.search, which returns a match object. It basically looks for the first occurrence of pattern in the string and will return that. If we do full match, it'll return the string only if the pattern matches the entire string. We also have re.match. This returns a match if the beginning of the string matches the pattern. So only if the beginning of string is the pattern. Additionally, we have find all. This returns a list of strings representing all pattern matches or all instances of pattern in string, and it's evaluated from left to right. And we also have sub, which will replace all matches of pattern within the string with replacement. All right. Thank you for listening to this lecture. I know it was a little bit long, but we will dive into problems soon.